asking questions that never even liked you in the first place. Dated a girl that I hate for the attention. She only made it 2 days, like a connection. It's like you do anything for the attention. You're going all about it in the worst ways. I was into you, but I'm over it now. Yeah, I was trying to be nice, but nothing's getting through. So let me spell it out. A, B, C, D, E, fuck you and your mom and your sister and your job and your broke ass car and that shit you call hard. Fuck you and your friends that I'll never see again. Everybody but you know you can all fuck off. La, 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 la. A, B, C, D, E, fuck you. Said to just leave space, and so I gave it. And I had nothing to say, you couldn't take it. Told everyone I'm a bitch, so I decided to put yourself above me. I was into you, but I'm over it now. Yeah, I was trying to be nice, but nothing's getting through, so I just spell it out. A, B, C, D, E, fuck you and your mom and your sister and your job and your broke ass car and the shit you call smart. Fuck you and your friends that I'll never see again. Everybody but your dog, you can all fuck off. La, 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 la. A, B, C, D, E, fuck off. A, B, C, D, E, fuck you. Your mom and your sister and your job and your broke ass car and that shit you called art. Fuck you and your friends that I'll never see again. Everybody but your dog, you can all fuck off. Let's see how the audio is. Never see again. Let's clear it out and keep going though. I was hearing this one clairaudiently. Thank you, God.
She just wanna talk romance, a little bit of danger, don't nobody save it. Got a dark side to her. Want someone to crave it, wanna misbehave it. Feel so good and I feel so bad. Eyes rolling back like that. She just wanna talk romance.
Let me know when the audio clears up.
A little bit of dark romance.
Do some Reiki first.
She knows what she likes, it's a little obsession. He knows what he wants, he's a little possessive. She always behaves, so he'll teach her a lesson. She likes when he gets just a little aggressive. He can't control himself when she's around. Ready to dive in, he's ready to drown. Sweat ain't the only thing that's dripping down. If it else isn't love, they just both need it now. Yeah, she loves that he's got a little edge. We don't mess, so he make her body bang. Throw it down on top of the bed. Dark thoughts taking over. She likes it when he dominates and confiscates her body. She cooperates and gets a little naughty. Only cutest things when no one else is watching their side to her. Only he can know. She just wanna talk romance, a little bit of danger. Don't nobody save it. Got a dark side to her back. Want someone to crave it, wanna misbehave it. Feels so good and it feels so bad. Eyes rolling back like that. She just wanna talk romance, a little bit of dark romance. He knows that it's wrong, all this stuff is forbidden. He can't keep his
Do
mouth
some
from
cord cutting too.
these things he would do. Picture every position. So tired of keeping desires all hidden. She's ready to be a good girl, submissive. The fact that he knows what he wants is addictive. She followed directions, no questions, she listens. Body's a weapon, he wields like a villain. Day shaking, body's simulating. Getting lost in mistakes worth making. Never going back, but I'm not for the taking. This ain't love, it's obsession in the making. Heart's racing, but the way you
Hi, little kitten. How are you? Hello, everybody. Somebody's crossing their ankles. Laying down, crossing your ankles. Don't cross your ankles. It's not going to hurt either of us, but it's like kinking a hose while you're trying to water the garden, right?
She's got a little crazy in her. Sharp eyes with the mind.
Let me know when the audio is clear.
All those dark thoughts, yeah, still a beginner. But you can tell that she's got a little demon in her. Cause she can make a man obsessed. She can make a man confess. She can make a man cut checks. Cause she looks better when she's undressed. Just a couple secrets in hers. Yeah, she's just what he eats for dinner.
Tired of these.
She tastes like a drug and she feels just the same. Bitter to the tongue, but a thrill for your brain. A little bit crazy, but it's worth all the pain. She's a dark little artist with ink in her veins. She's been through the hardest, but prospered from pain. She appears to be heartless, surrounded by flames. But through all the darkness, I love her is changed. She's nerdy and sweet, but she's dirty underneath. If those flirty eyes can speak lustful thoughts would release. Cause she hates that she loves so hard like a disease. It's left her with all these scars no one can see. Her means a beautiful thing. You never quite know what she thinks. But if you're lucky, she just might let you see what hides behind nightmares and dreams.
I'm not going to be staying here with kittens, so I can't tell you right now.
She tastes like a drug and she feels just the same. Bitter to the tongue, but a thrill for your brain. A little bit crazy, but it's worth all the pain. She's a dark little artist with ink in her veins. She's been through the hardest, but prospered from pain. She appears to be heartless, surrounded by flames. But through all the darkness, her lover is chained. Her mind is a beautiful thing. You never quite know what she thinks. But if you're lucky, she just might let you see what hides behind nightmares and
Ooh, somebody's feelings are hurt. Oh, you're playing with your ankles crossed? That's not going to hurt you, but...
She's a good girl on the outside, but a bad girl when the mood's right. In the moonlight, she becomes this naughty little thing. She's exclusive, she's elusive, but with him she's so inclusive. She's a giver, but only when fulfilling all his needs. Yeah, she's got those pretty eyes, but behind them lies thoughts of feminized. She can't seem to fight feelings that she knows she's gonna have to feed. And ever since the day that he got a taste, she's his only chase. He cannot replace thoughts of her up in his mind of curiosity. she looks like a little angel, but at night's a different angle. Demon eyes looking fatal, got her mind pretty playful. Yeah, she got naughty thoughts that she can't control. She don't wanna tell, she would rather show. Red little heart, black little soul, teeth that are sharp, white that is cold. She got a secret little daddy mind, good imagination in the night. She don't like to waste any time. She's so creative when you cut the lights. She just wanna make 'em feel good. She just wanna make 'em feel good. She know how to make 'em feel good. She's a good girl on the outside, but a bad girl when the mood's right. In the moonlight, she becomes this naughty little thing. She's exclusive, she's elusive, but with him she's so inclusive. She's a giver, but only when fulfilling all his needs. Yeah, she's got those pretty eyes.
Yeah, I was just giggling too, quietly, death.
She can't seem to fight feelings that she knows she's gonna have to feed.
And they don't understand.
Ever since the day, she's his only chase. He cannot replace thoughts of her up in his mind of curiosity. She's something worth holding on to. After everything she's gone through, rose full of thorns, hope through the storm. She's got stories that could haunt you. She knows things that she shouldn't know. Only see them when you're really close. In the dark, it's a different show. Mirrors on the walls only know. She just wanna taste the forbidden fruit. She can't shake her lust. She likes being used by someone she trusts, by somebody who is as her donor as she is to you. You don't want her to leave when she's tangled in these sheets, and she gets them all he needs. Slowly falling, cravings calling.
Puppies. More like guppies.
She's a good girl on the outside, but a bad girl when the mood's right. In the moonlight, she becomes this naughty little thing. She's exclusive, she's elusive, but with him she's so inclusive. She's a giver, but only when fulfilling all his needs. Yeah, she's got those pretty eyes, but behind them lies thoughts of him at night. She can't seem to fight feelings that she knows she's gonna have to feed. And ever since the day that he got a taste, she's his only chase. He cannot replace thoughts of her and his mind of curiosity.
Oh, I like this one.
Yeah. I was like, damn, fucking insane.
She was like the wheel on the land.
I was like,
Will you come my way?
she was like, I've been thinking about it all
All day.
yeah. I'm in it up, fuck that shit, my phone in it. When you coming down, first shit, buzz it down. When you lock that door, come smiling now. Woo, the top really hit the ground. Yeah, smoking my shit, she's spinning, kiss my neck, don't feel it deep inside of my head. Yeah. I was like, damn, fucking insane. She was like,
Living wheel on my hand.
I was like, hey, when you come my way.
What's that?
I've been thinking about it all day. I'm so focused,
Miss Lady.
bullshit. That's what she says every time I hold it. I'm too busy right now, cause I won't quit. Everyone knows my son never heard it. It ain't about the friend to me.
Not anymore.
Now my destiny.
Just put socks on.
I made could be, and I'm coming to where it's about to be.
Like a carpet under me. Stripped.
We just made a roommate. We just made a neighbors. We just made a neighborhood. Sorry, that's so deep.
I'm gonna wait on these. And I'm going to go. Right there. Let Pandora do it. for a minute. How's the audio? Still good?
She's a beautiful mess, chaos pulling her sleeves, and her eyes will confess that she feels everything. Still she puts on a dress, and you wouldn't believe that this beautiful mess was in pain underneath.
Clear it up. Keep going. There you go.
She tries to ignore it, the feeling alone. She puts on a brave face, so no one would know. She struggles to feel safe. I know that you hurt, baby. Show me all your scars. I'm not here to judge. I am in a broken heart, laying in the grass, staring up at all the stars, picking up the pieces from the things that fell apart. And I hate anything that hurt you. And I know that you might feel like you've been cursed too. 'Cause they say pretty has a gravity that pulls in tragedy. She's a beautiful mess, chaos pulling her sleeves, and her eyes will confess that she feels everything. Still she puts on a dress, and you wouldn't believe that this beautiful mess was in pain underneath. Was in pain underneath. I wanna be a slave, I
Wanna be a master.
I wanna make your heart beat run like roller coaster. I wanna be a good boy, I wanna be a gangster. 'Cause you could be the beauty and I could be the monster. I love you since this morning, no, just for the staffing. I wanna touch your body so fucking electric. I know you're scared of me, you say that I'm eccentric. I'm crying all my tears and that's fucking pathetic. I wanna make your heart break, then I wanna kiss you. I wanna paint your face like your Mona Lisa. I wanna be a champion, I wanna be a loser. I'll even play a dance 'cause I just wanna miss you. I wanna be a sister, I wanna be a teacher. I wanna be a singer, I wanna be a preacher. I wanna make you love me, then I wanna leave you. 'Cause baby, I'm a catfish and you're my liar. Because I'm the devil searching for redemption, and I'm hallelujah, searching for redemption, and I'm healer, searching
Fix
for
that audio,
redemption.
please.
I'm a motherfucking monster,
Searching for redemption.
searching for redemption, and I'm longer, searching for redemption, and I'm Africa, searching for redemption,
Stomach hurts.
searching for redemption.
I don't know. I was just doing a bunch of work on that. I felt that too. I was feeling it up here and then I shifted. So I can't necessarily fix everything. If there's physical stuff going on that needs to be potentially physically addressed. However, why toxic? Why toxic, Panda? I hope your belly feels better. And I can do a bit more on that because I do feel some energy pulling. Even up here. Could be a past life wound reincarnating. I was getting one a little while ago in the foot. I cleared out in the feet.
it doesn't have to manifest the same way. Like bullet, if you were shot in another life, you could still, let's say in the area that you had bullet wounds from a previous life, you didn't get shot in this life, but you have like GI issues or digestive issues or something. It's all in the same space, the chakra point. Yeah. I'm so sorry to hear that. Can't fix all of it, but I can work on some of the energy and hope that helps a bit. I don't fear you. I think you're pathetic. Who are you? You can have nothing. You're entitled to nothing from me. Excuse you. Get out. Yeah, see, I already feel that. My chat's like, oh, excuse you? What the fuck? Don't. There's one more. Thank you for clearing out that audio fuzz. Appreciate it. Ugh. You know what I was just hearing? Okay, I'll play this first one. This is AI. Sounds like AI.
To the hallway.
I think this is AI, dude.
But your shadow don't show up anywhere. I poured one cup, then poured it slow.
Ooh, that's AI. I'm not doing that right now. I was just hearing this clairaudiently, though. Yeah, my ear's ringing. Gotta go through the app to skip the commercial. Hold on. How's my audio?
I hear the clock, it's 6 a.m. I feel so far from where I've been. I got my eggs and my pancakes too. Got my maple syrup, everything but you. I break the yolks and make the smiley face. I kinda like it in my brand new place. I wipe the spots up over me to leave my keys in the door. I never leave the towels on the floor anymore. Dreams last for so long, even after you're gone. I know you love me, and soon you will see you were meant for me, and I was meant for you. I told my mom she was out for a walk, just over a cup of coffee, but didn't want to talk, so I picked up the paper. It was more bad news. My heart's been broken, people being used. Put on the food in the pouring rain. I saw the inches wasn't the same, 'cause it was happening
out of here.
I go about my business, doing fine beside the
What would I say
if I had you on the line? Same old story now, much to say.
hearts are broken every day? Thank you so much for letting me know. I appreciate that. Working hard. Working hard. Thank you so much, guys.
Brush my teeth and put the cat back on. I hate when I leave the light on. I pick up a cup and turn the sheets down and take a deep breath. And good luck around. Put on my PJs and hop in the bed. I'm not loud, but I feel most of you dead. Try and tell myself it'll be alright. I shouldn't think anymore tonight. Dreams last for so long, even after you're gone. I know that you love me, and soon I will see you were meant for me, and I was meant for you. You were meant for me, and I was meant for you.
Yeah, thank you, God. That's right. Me too. You mean like I'm clearing out the. Yeah. I'm a very adaptable person. How do you think I've survived so much? Survivors adapt, man. It takes a bit. You know, the sweet spots changed and all that. But really, more than just tolerate it, I wanted to clear through it as best as possible. So we navigate it when we have to tolerate it as best as we can. And we've been figuring out how to do that. Thank you so much for the communication. It's helpful. But ideally, we just elevate above it. Alchemize. Adjust. Adapt, alter, overcome. Right. Love that. Cosmic stray. Orange flag. I gotta shift from the AI right now. I need like real human energy. But I saw Alanis Morissette, somebody said. Is it this one? I know some of these. Hold on. Maybe I know more of them than I think. Hold on. Oh no, that was Alison Krauss I was thinking of. I was hearing this one. Oh, okay. For those people who are getting any kind of substance stuff like under wraps or in check, I applaud you. Do that. Also, for those who've been dealing with overcoming lying, cheating, stealing people, don't let their mistreatment of you. Started to mention this in the last stream. Like, don't internalize that. Sometimes people's first inclination when someone treats them badly, a good person, might be, okay, if that person treated me so badly, what's wrong with me? Like, you know, what's wrong with me to the point where I deserved that? Well, that's the thing. It's, in those cases, it's not you that's the problem. The problem was the fact that somebody was willing to lie and cheat and steal and abuse or whatever the situation may be. That's not a you problem. They lashed out and they took it out on you. That's not a you problem. Not in that case. Not in those cases.
Hey, this is your stop. Mrs.
She put him out like the burning end of a midnight cigarette.
That's a good one.
She broke his heart. He spent his whole life trying to forget. We watched him drink his pain away, a little at a time. But he never could get drunk enough to get her off his mind until the night he put that bottle to his head and pulled the trigger. Finally drank away her memory. Life is short, but this time it was bigger than the strength he had to get up off his knees. We found him with his face down in the pillow, with a note that said, I love her till I die. Bury him beneath the willow. The angels sang a whiskey lullaby. La 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 She tried to hide the whiskey on her breath. She finally drank her pain away, a little at a time. But she never could get drunk enough to get him off her mind until the night. She put that bottle to her head and pulled the trigger. Drank away his memory. Life is short, but this time it was bigger than the strength she had to get up off her knees. We found her with her face down in the pillow, clinging to his picture for dear life. Laid her next to him beneath the willows, while the angels sang a whiskey lullaby. La 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 Thank you. That's a good one, actually.
Protect your
Just go to the app to skip the commercials.
Well, my buckle makes impressions on the inside of her thigh. There are little past. Ain't anybody told you that them things are bad for you? I said many folks have warned me. There's been several people try, but up till now there ain't been nothing that I could have leave behind. Hold me close, my dear.
There's some country fans in here, huh?
Whispering song softly in my ear, and I will sing along.
Any more insiders?
Love runs true, and I can always count on you. Be there when the bullets fly. I'd run across the river just to hold you tonight.
More insiders, you mean? First of all, I've definitely got some country fans in here. Second of all, you guys have good taste. I like all music as long as it's good. I like this one. It's very pretty. Very sweet. Soft. So soft.
Every now and then I'm bad this time. Selection knows I'm alone. Rolls up when a white is gone like a record on repeat. Laying on memories and talking about what we used to be. Should probably be the death of me, but damn if it ain't sweet. She's my pretty little poison. My heart ain't getting that with a kiss on her lips, just like cyanide. Yeah, she came with a warning, but I didn't mind. I'll go out on it high every time. She's my pretty little poison, my pretty little poison. Shadows dancing down the hall, whispers that she
I know
wants
some
me.
first words.
Try my best
Don't
not
remember
to
which one.
fall where she falls into me. We all need some kind of fix. For me, she's the one I pick. Nothing else will do the trick. She's all I need. She's my pretty little poison. My heart ain't getting that with a kiss on her lips, just like cyanide. Yeah, she came with a warning, but I didn't mind. I'll go out on it high every time. She's my pretty little poison, my pretty little poison. For some, I guess it's alcohol. I don't want none at all. I just want you. No, I just want you. My pretty little poison. My heart ain't getting that with a kiss on her lips, just like cyanide. Yeah, she came with a warning, but I didn't mind. I'll go out on it high every time. She's my pretty little poison, my pretty little poison. She's my pretty.
How tall am I? The chandeliers and the low ceilings are deceiving. I have long limbs and a long torso, but I'm only about 5'7". I look a lot taller in here. Taller than some, but it could be a lot taller. This one, I remember this one. God, this is from the 90s. Oh my god. Somebody said this ought to be good. What 90s country?
Blame it all on my roots. I showed up in boots, ruined your black tie affair. Last one to know, last one to show. I was the last one you thought you'd see there. And I saw the surprise, the fear in his eyes. And I took his glass of champagne. I toasted you, said, honey, we may be through. You'll never hear me complain.
I got things in no places.
Where the whiskey abounds.
I always used to change the lyrics when it came up to I got friends in all places. Don't judge people. But I don't tolerate fuck shit either. I've been hearing this on and off for days. Who's that by? Rascal Flats. Okay. Oh no. Go to the app.
I set out on a narrow way many years ago, hoping I would find true love along the broken road. But I got lost a time or two, wiped my brow and kept pushing through. I couldn't see how every sign pointed straight to you. That every long lost dream led me to where you are. Others who broke my heart, they were like northern stars, pointing me on my way into your loving arms. This much I know is true, that God bless the broken road that led me straight to you. Yes, it did.
All right. This one. You requested this one. Something in the oranges, a good one, I like
change. I hear the rhythm say your name. I watch the birds fly by. I see an emerald in the sky.
I hear this.
Having the right game plan.
Skip.
All right. This song is called Sex and Candy, and my name's Jake. No, it's not.
So it's Alan.
Oh yeah, hanging.
Okay, so look. I can't tell if you're a man, says Melissa, the overweight, obese girl. Is that you? Looks like to me. After somebody's been trying to skinny shame me all night. Girl, that jealousy green doesn't look good on you, but emerald is my color.
Downtown by myself, I've had too
much caffeine.
much time to sit down and think about myself. And there she was, like double cherry pie. Yeah, there she was, like a disco superfly. 'Cause I smell sex and candy, yeah. I'm loving who's that lounging in my chair. I'm loving who's that casting devious stares in my direction. Mama, surely is a dream, yeah, yeah. Mama, surely is a dream. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, hanging round downtown by myself, and I've had too much caffeine. I've been thinking about myself, and there she was, in platform double suede. Yeah, there she was, like disco lemonade. Oh, 'cause I smell sex and candy, yeah. I'm loving who's that lounging in my chair. I'm loving who's
Thank you very
that
much for that. We'll do that next.
stairs in my direction. Mama, this surely is a dream. Yeah, yeah. Well, Mama, this surely is a dream. Oh, yeah. Yeah, mama, this shining is a dream. Baby. Mama, this shining is a dream. Is a dream, yeah, yeah. Ooh, yeah. Well, I smell sex and candy. Yeah. Knowing who's not lounging in my chair. Yeah. Knowing who's not casting deadly stares in my direction. Mama, this only is a dream.
I know. It's funny, isn't it? Oh, I didn't play this, but I like this one. It's the live version.
Say praise for a better man. No need for your touching hands. There's nothing I understand. I'm on with the lost and damned. So long road when you're on your own. Take care of your broken soul. Cause there must be, oh there must be. I've drank out the remedies. It's too young for these memories. String no bitter melodies. A false hope from the teeth of the enemy. So long road when you're on your own. Take care of my broken soul. Cause there must be, well there must be angels that guided the way. Well there must be angels that saving our grace. Well there must be heaven for people who stray. Well there must be heaven in this hell that I'm living. Cause heaven seems to be so forgiving. And don't give up, but I don't give up, no, I don't give up, cause there must be angels, oh there must be angels, oh there must be heaven in this hell that I'm living. Cause heaven seems to be so forgiving.
What's funnier is they thought it was some kind of competition in the first place, but yeah, also then subsequently, comically, they think they're winning. What? Your state of delusion? Yeah, sure. Okay, congratulations. No, I don't play Nako here. I believe in the good things coming. Don't get me wrong. I get it. I full out get it. But did you know that he's a sexual predator? And I don't support those. Look it up.
Lots of keeping dreams afloat. I stand just a man and a tightrope. Got faith, but I'll never know. And I see wings when I look through my telescope. So long bow when you're on your own. Take care of my broken soul. Cause there must be angels. God in love with. There must be angels saving our grace. There must be heaven for people who stray. There must be heaven in this hell that I'm living. Cause heaven seems to be so forgiving. So don't give up and I don't give up and no, don't give up and I. Cause there must be angels, oh there must be angels, oh there must be heaven in this hell that I'm living. Cause heaven seems to be so forgiving. Oh, well, don't give up, don't give up, don't give up. heaven seems to be so forgiving.
What was that?
I'm laughing, 'cause heaven seems to be so forgiving. So don't give up alive.
That's J.P. Cooper, right? Okay. Somebody's angry. It's called holy water. Wash my hands in the holy water.
Sometimes I'm my own worst enemy. Two paths stretching out in front of me. I'm walking the one less heaven than I. Sometimes I forget about honesty. Sometimes I forget about modesty. Days turn into months, I can't figure it out. But I'm grateful today for my daddy who showed me the way. So I wash my hands in the holy water, just like my father on a Sunday morning. Starting again, starting again. Far too many times I ignored the warning, 'cause sometimes falling is the sweetest feeling. I did it again, did it again.
Wash my hands in the holy water.
One step at a time, we go steadily. Two step in the club, there's no remedy. Foot step on the sand, Lord carry me now. Some days I'll be searching in the bottom. Some nights I'll be sinking to the bottom. Some nights I'll be thinking I'll never come down. So I wash my hands in the holy water, just like my father on a Sunday morning. Starting again, starting again. Far too many times I ignored the warning, 'cause sometimes falling is the sweetest feeling. I did it again, did it again. So I wash my hands in the holy water, just like my father on a Sunday morning. Started again, far too many times I ignored the warning, 'cause sometimes falling is the sweetest feeling. I did it again, did it again, did it again. So I wash my hands in the holy water, just like my father on a Sunday. gently on my shoulder. We made big plans to change since we got older. Oh, I know now what I did before. Sometimes it's good to let a good thing go. But in my head, you're still mine, and I go back every.
I'm telling you, X is trying to spin the block. That was a random sound. Let's see which one of these I remember.
How about them transparent dangling carrots?
No.
Is thick.
I know this one.
No, and every time you speak.
Think of this one. It's like 90s, 2000s.
You won the lottery, died the next day. It's a black fly,
And your
Chardonnay. It's a death row, 2 minutes too late. And isn't it ironic? Don't you think? It's like rain. Rewrite on your body. It's the goodbyes that you did. And who would have thought that yours, Mr. Play It Safe, was afraid to fly. He packed his suitcase, kissed his kids goodbye.
Skip.
What if I said I would break your heart? What if I said I had problems that made me mean? What if I knew I would just rip your mind apart? Would you let me out? Maybe you can stop before you start. Maybe you can see that I just may be too crazy to love. If I told you solitude fits me like a glove, would you let me out? You wouldn't know where I'm coming from. I was alone when I burned my home, and all of the pieces were torn and thrown. You should know where I'm coming from. What if I said I was just too young? What if I said I was built on bricks of carelessness and crumbs? What if I said I'd be gone before I could come? Would you let me out? You wouldn't know where I'm coming from. I was alone when I burned tried to turn me away from my low blows. Boy, you should've known. You would've known where I'm coming from. I was alone when I burned out. And all the pieces were torn.
Try this one. What's up?
Up in Pocahontas, in the cranberry glades. Ain't got bars nor the charge to call her anyways. My mind's a mile a minute, and my thoughts to bark like hounds. I focus on my breathing and the universal sound.
Immaculate vibes.
I think about my darling girl, sleeping all alone. I pray the stars will shoot her all the wishes she can hold. On the day that I return, I aim to lay her down. But right now I'm focused on the universal sound. I think about tobacco juice, the mason jars of shine. I think about the vices I've let take me over time.
I was hearing this clairaudiently though.
I know this year wasn't anything close to a high.
That noise.
You ain't the kind that'll cry and ask for help. Promises break and the seasons that change, that's how life goes. But you don't gotta deal with the pain all by yourself. So show me where your heart is gone. All the trauma that you're keeping from the light, things are buried in the dark. Feel like I'm in the fortress of your eye. Show me all the insecurities that break your guarded heart. 'Cause I love every part. Show me where to start. see soul revival. Where you see broken, I see a work of art. So show me where you hide your scars. All the trauma that you're keeping from the light, things you buried in the dark. Feel you locked up in the fortress of your eyes. Show me all the insecurities that break the guarding heart. 'Cause I love every part. Show me where to start. Show me where to start. I know this year wasn't anything close to a high.
What's going on?
But you don't gotta deal
Don't bother
with
Rusty.
it by yourself.
Yeah.
So show me where you hide your scars. All the trauma that you're keeping from the light, things you buried in the dark. Feel you locked up in the fortress of your eyes. Show me your insecurities. Where you going hard? 'Cause I love every part. Yeah, I love every part. Just show me where to start. Yeah, show me where to start.
Going for his gullet, Dub, huh?
I'm a dirt road in the headlights. I'm a mama's boy. I'm a fish fight. Kinda county line, kinda cold beer. Little hat down, little John Deere. I kinda give it down, I kinda don't care. You see the girl standing right there. She loves a small town boy like me. She's my ride or die, baby. She's my cool, she's my crazy. She's my laid back in the front seat. She'll with me till the end. I'll turn up the tear, girl. She got anybody that she wants to be, anywhere she wants to be. She loves a small town boy like me. She likes my t-shirt.
I heard this one earlier too.
Like a rainy Sunday morning makes me wanna stay in bed, twisted up all day long. You're my inspiration, girl. You take me places, put the words right into these songs.
Yeah, no, you need to leave. Who's?
Stealing kisses undercover, babe. See forever when I see your face, and I swear God made you for me.
Leave people alone.
You
Don't fight.
make it easy. Love on you, make it
You're right.
easy.
Drop it and move on.
With every little thing you do, you're my sunshine in the darkest days, my better half, my saving grace. You make me who I wanna be. You make it easy.
Just let it be.
You took out my rough around the edges, never let it ruffle up your feathers. Angel,
Ooh, don't kill my vibe.
the life you got me wrapped around your finger, and I like it just in case you can't tell. You make it easy. Love on you, make it easy. is love.
Yeah, I see it. I see the free. You're so sweet. I appreciate you.
Listen, just as my form starts to fashion, losing this war of attrition. Just as I drift away, will you want this eclipse in me?
What? Will you
Want this eclipse in
got some kinds of drama? Where are you going?
Will you want this eclipse in me?
Rusty, I love you, man.
This eclipse in me. With the shadows
I think they're winning.
moving so slow I could die. Say you can hear me say, will you want this eclipse in me? Will you want this eclipse in me? Will you want this eclipse in me? Will you want this eclipse in me?
Do I have a BBL? Does it look like I have a BBL? That was funny. Indica. I don't remember what this is. Cherry patties. Cherry patties. That's the theme this week. Lots of cherries, actually.
God, it's heavy enough to break diamonds. You break for sound and I break for silence. Downright fate, this I can't deny. You'll find me with half a mind to get violent. No, I just say it's over. All that light goes sitting on my shoulders.
In the edge of a blade
And it's all out of place. And I'll leave them cold and push your left border.
too, I just saw.
Will you hold this eclipse in me? Will you hold this eclipse in me? Will you hold this eclipse in me? To the windward. Look to windward, rather. My sleep token. It actually started auto-playing. I did have another one of them in the queue, but actually no. That one was already in my queue. So I was hearing a line out of it clairaudiently all day. Pumps. Pumps for what? Water? Is it from rain? Let us switch gears. Heard that. Let's do.
picking up on the insecurities, levels of insecurities of a lot of these trolls in the comment section. Wild. Alright, this one's calling me for some reason. I would say that the message probably, secondarily, they get caught, but first and foremost, I feel like I've heard this story before though. Maybe from a different true crime person, whatever. But either way, if anybody thought dirty cops don't exist, well, they do.
We are covering today is absolutely harrowing. The perpetrator from today's case is a man named Lewis Edwards, and he is the definition of pure evil. He was cunning, he was intelligent in a very disgusting way. And then one day when he was in his 20s, he infiltrated Snapchat and he started grooming hundreds and hundreds of underage girls and children. And this was all to do with some very dodgy dark web organization called Snapgod, which produced and distributed the most disgusting content you could ever imagine. But the worst thing about this whole case is that Lewis Edwards was a police officer. He was somebody that is supposed to protect people, protect children, yet he was grooming and abusing them. He was actually a serving police officer when he was carrying out his crimes. And he used his position of power to actually find victims as well. And this case just sickens me to my very core. It is not going to be an easy case to listen to, but it is an important one to shed light on. So that is what we are going to be talking about today. So let's jump in.
I'm being told to just let it play for a few
today's
minutes.
sponsor, and that is Paradise Pause. And you guys know how much I love mobile games.
I can't. Because I'd rather watch an ocean documentary. Anyway. So I'll give you a few minutes to tell us what's up, girl.
29, an exact date of birth is not known, and he grew up in the town of Bridgend in Wales, where he lived with his parents. And growing up, it is said that Lewis was a pretty unremarkable child. He kept himself to himself, he didn't have many friends, and he was described as a bit of a loner. Lewis also struggled a lot with his mental health in school, suffered with depression and anxiety. It is also said that he was very immature for his age, that he hadn't developed socially or emotionally the same as his peers. He also apparently looked a lot younger for his years as well, which he definitely uses to his advantage later on in this case. And as he entered into his teenage years, Lewis would spend most of his time locked away in his bedroom on his computer. And it is very likely that at that very moment, as young as only a teenager, Lewis is already viewing indecent content. Now, obviously, we have no confirmation of that, but it is highly likely that he's already accessing illegal material involving young girls and children. But before we get to all of that, Lewis is now 18 years old, and Lewis is starting to think about his career. What does he want to do for the rest of his life? And this is when he landed on the idea of becoming a police officer. Now, why did Lewis want to become a police officer? Did he actually have innocent intentions here? Did he actually want to join the police to do good? Or did he want to join the police to maybe have power and abuse his position of power? Well, we actually don't know. But if you want my opinion, it's the latter. So anyway, he's 18, he wants to join the police, he goes through the process that everyone goes through if they want to join the police. At some point, South Wales Police, which is one of the 4 major police forces in Wales, accepted Lewis as a trainee police officer. So he's not a police officer yet, but he's in training. He became a student at the police academy in his hometown. He is still living with his parents. pedophiles. And it was at this time where we do have confirmation that Lewis starts getting involved in some very dark and disturbing things. Because now we get to 2020 and the pandemic has just begun. Wales was in lockdown, and this is when Lewis does become a full-on paedophile. Now, to be honest, like I've already said, he was probably already viewing this content from an earlier age. We just don't have confirmation of that, but it's highly likely. But right now in 2020, we know that Lewis began viewing some of the most disgusting content involving children. He started watching all sorts of videos where children were being sexually abused. He was doing all of this on the dark web. He was also paying for this material as well. So he wasn't just accessing it, no, he was also paying for the privilege of watching this disgusting content. He became involved in all sorts of communities that are dedicated to child abuse on the dark web, which I don't even want to think about. Like, it disgusts me to my core that there is actually communities out there dedicated to creating and sharing indecent photos and videos of children. But Lewis became a part of a lot of these communities online. And in particular, he became involved with a very dodgy organization which is known as SnapGod. And if you Google SnapGod, there's not actually a lot of information out there on them, which is suspicious if you ask me, but okay. But anyway, what I could find out about SnapGod is that it is apparently a community and an organization of pedophiles. And it is a global community. It is a global network of pedophiles. Right. And they are dedicated to the production of indecent material of children and distributing that, selling that, and it's all operated via the Telegram messaging app. And as we know, some very dodgy things take place on Telegram. It's definitely hard to track what's going on Telegram. A lot of criminals use that app, and this organization, SnapGod, sells this material over Telegram using Bitcoin. And the group are completely untraceable, which is probably why there's not that much information about them. And Lewis became a customer of this organization, SnapGod. He would purchase this material, this child abuse material from this organization using Bitcoin.
Oh my God, I thought that was...
just got slowly more dragged into this world of pedophiles and all these communities and trading material. And it became an addiction for him, like an obsession. Until one day, Lewis decided that he no longer wanted to be just a customer of this organization. He actually wanted to start producing and
There was a picture. I thought it was a picture of like a young boy, maybe who got mixed up in this. Okay. Based on the title and the cover photo, it was like an older guy. Like not older, but like, yeah. He looked older than the other boy. And then the boy that I thought maybe was like a teenager or late teenager, early 20s. But it seems that it was the same guy. Just one of them must have been either from his jail photo or something, or he was a little older at that point, I don't know. I knew he was grooming a bunch of girls from the title, but I thought maybe like some boy figured it out and told on him, and that's why he was in the cover photo, but it's the same guy. He really does look young. It's creepy. He was using that to his advantage.
Distributing his very own illegal content to distribute and sell as part of this group, SnapGod. And it really does escalate very quickly because we are now in November of 2020. So 6 months into the lockdown, and 6 months after, we do have confirmation that Lewis is viewing this kind of content and buying this kind of content. So in a 6-month period, Lewis has decided to not only be a customer of this kind of content, but he wants to produce it himself, which is a very quick escalation. It just tells you that he has been thinking about creating this kind of content for a long time. And it was in November of 2020 that Lewis set out to try and find his very own victims. And how was Lewis planning on doing that? Well, he was planning on using the social media app Snapchat to his advantage. Now, of course, using Snapchat has a lot of advantages to creeps and pedophiles like Lewis, because the content, the videos, the photos, they disappear, which is perfect for somebody like Lewis. So Lewis created himself multiple different accounts on Snapchat using fake names, fake profile pictures. He had all fake details and everything, and each account he was posing as a teenager. This is when he went online and he just found random photos of teenage boys that were around the age of 14, 13, sometimes even 12, and he would use that photo of the teenage boy as his profile picture. So then when he did target his victims would think that they are speaking to a fellow teenager. So now that he has his multiple Snapchat accounts set up, this is when he starts contacting victims for the very first time. And I think we all just need to remember right now that this man, Lewis Edwards, is currently training to be a police officer. Because yes, we are in lockdown, but he is still training to be a police officer, which is just absolutely insane. So who were the victims that Lewis wanted to target? Well, Lewis decided that he was only interested in girls that were under the age of 16. Anybody older than 16 was just simply too old for him, which is disgusting. And I just want to remind you of his age. He is either 20 or 21 at this point. And anyone over the age of 16 is too old for him. But what is just really, really disgusting and even worse is that Lewis didn't have a lower age on how young his victims could be. He really just didn't care as long as they were under the age of 16. Lewis was completely fine at targeting girls as young as 10 years old. And he actually does have victims that are that young. It's truly sickening in this case. So Lewis went out targeting these young, innocent, vulnerable girls. And each time he contacted someone, it went in a very similar way. He would first contact the underage girl, pretending that he knew them, pretending that he went to the same school as them or he lived in the same area as them. He wanted to try and connect to his victim, to make the victim feel comfortable, to feel safe, to think, oh, well, this is just another teenage boy from my school. I can talk to him. There's no harm with that. Or, oh my God, he lives in my small town. Maybe I can make a new friend. So he would start by sending these young girls messages and say, hi, I'm whatever fake name he was using. Hi, I'm this name and I go to your school. I'm actually in the year above you. Or he would say, hi, my name is blah, 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 and your friend so-and-so sent me here. Let's start talking, let's hang out, let's be friends. And he would always start the conversations off very innocently. He would start with small talk, he would ask how his victims were, how school was going, family life, hobbies. He would always want to relate to his victims, again, to lure them into a full sense of security. And he would always be complimenting the girls a lot, again, trying to butter them up. He would always be very attentive in their conversations as well, pretending to be interested in their hobbies and their life, again, to make the girls feel comfortable, to make the girls feel like they could be themselves around him and lower their guard. But on top of all of this, Lewis was also a master manipulator. Amongst all of this small talk that was going back and forth between Lewis and his victims, he would also try and make the victims feel sorry for him. He would come up with various different sob stories into making his victims feel sorry for him. And he is grooming these young girls. He is taking his time. He's making sure that he does this properly to get what he wants. So some of these sob stories would be that he is being bullied at school, that his mental health was suffering, he had anxiety, he had depression, he was self-harming, he was contemplating taking his own life. There was many different sob stories that he was coming up with. And because he had built up this relationship and the rapport with these victims, they did truly feel sorry for him. They thought, oh my God, I'm possibly Lewis's, but obviously he was using a fake name. I am his only friend. I need to be there for him. And once these girls had truly fell into Lewis's trap, had fully let their guard down, this is when the real abuse and horror started. And I am going to share a few stories from a few of the victims, and I do have to warn you, they are so difficult to listen to. They are so heartbreaking. Because one of Lewis's first victims, we will only refer to them as Girl A. Lewis reached out to Girl A on Snapchat using a fake name. He was actually going by the name Jacob with this victim. He was using a fake profile picture of a much younger teenage boy, and Lewis started speaking to Girl A, and he started off with small talk. He asked her name, her age, and this is tragically when Lewis found out that Girl A was only 12 years old. So when they first start speaking, Jacob Lewis starts complimenting girl A lot, saying how pretty she was, that she was a nice person, complimenting her physical appearance as well as her personality. He also would ask her about her life, what sports she did, hobbies, and clearly girl A had expressed that she did horse riding and she loved horses. So Jacob, aka Lewis, would ask for photos, like, can I see your horses? Can I see you horse riding? And then obviously this Jacob person would tell girl A about himself. Jacob would share loads of fake details about his own life, his own interests and hobbies. And this is when Jacob told girl A that he was only a 13-year-old teenage boy, which again was something that made girl A feel incredibly comfortable about, because she was 12 and she was speaking to a boy that was only 13. Completely innocent, there's nothing wrong with that. And their conversations in the beginning were completely innocent. But then this Jacob person started to manipulate girl A, started to make her feel sorry for him, and he started telling her a sob story. He started saying that his younger sister was currently in hospital because she suffered from really bad seizures, and he said that the fact that his sister was in hospital, it was really hard on him. It was taking a toll on his mental health, and he was self-harming because of it, which is obviously a complete load of lies. But girl A, she believed him. I mean, of course she did. She had built up this somewhat of a friendship with Jacob, and why would she think that Jacob was lying to her? She's just an innocent 12-year-old girl. She completely bought into Jacob's story. She also felt scared for Jacob's well-being, because Jacob was expressing that he was struggling, and she started to panic. She wanted to help Jacob because she felt like Jacob was now her friend, and this was the exact mindset that Lewis wanted his victims in. And this grooming of girl A went on for a very long time. And Lewis was now emotionally blackmailing girl A. He was now telling girl A that she had finally given him a reason to live. Lewis also started video calling girl A over Snapchat because he wanted to see her live on video. And I know what you're thinking, hang on a minute. Lewis is like 20 years old. How is he going to get around this? Like, he can't go on a video call and actually convince this 12-year-old girl that he's 30. However, every single time they had a video chat, Lewis would be sat in the dark. You could barely see his face. Like, you could literally only see half of his face. And remember, people have said that he looks very young for his age. So he possibly could get away with looking like a 16-year-old maybe, not 13. But yeah, the lights were off. And girl A would say, why can't I see you? Why are you in the dark? And every single time Lewis would just say that his lights were broken and he couldn't turn a light on. But girl A would be there, sat in her bedroom, fully visible to Lewis.
Yeah,
she was completely open to having a friendly chat with him because she felt almost pressure that she was the only reason why he was living. She felt almost responsible for Lewis's life, and how sick and twisted is that? Lewis would also put on a high-pitched voice, again pretending to be a 13-year-old boy. And tragically, as you can imagine, and probably you've guessed where this is going, after 2 to 3 weeks of these video chats, this is when Lewis's severe abuse began. Because now that he had groomed girl A, he now had her in his clutches. He kept asking girl A to send over photos of herself, and he would constantly bombard her, send me a photo, send me a photo. And at first, he was only asking for normal photos, i.e. selfies or just her out and about living her life. But then as time went on, Lewis started asking for photos that were more revealing, until eventually Lewis started asking for photos where girl A had no clothes on. He was also now asking girl A to completely undress for him whilst they are on their video calls. And I can imagine that in the beginning, girl A was probably shocked, horrified. She probably didn't want to do this. She was probably scared, confused. But Lewis, as Jacob, was very persuasive. He was very manipulative. And you've got to remember that he has been emotionally blackmailing girl A. He would say to girl A, oh, this is so normal. All teenage girls do this for teenage boys. It's normal, so you should do it. He wanted to make girl A feel like she was the problem, like she was the one not acting normal. He also said to girl A that if she didn't send her...
Remember I told you earlier, people will try to make you feel like the problem for their
fucked up behavior. Sometimes don't internalize that. And then, like, look at this picture of him. Is that him or the fake profile he's using online? I mean, he looks like a kid. What the fuck? Something wrong with him. Why are you going after 12-year-olds, dude? Go away.
These photos, that she would be the reason that he would take his own life. And that is just despicable to put that kind of pressure on anyone. But a 12-year-old girl is just absolutely despicable. I'm lost for words. Yeah. And girl A believed this. She believed that if she didn't send over these photos, Jacob would spiral, his mental health would get worse, and he would take his own life. And she didn't want to be responsible for that. So she started taking photos of herself, and she started sending over photos of herself with no clothes on. And obviously girl A's parents had no idea what was going on. They had no idea that their daughter was being abused and groomed online into doing all of this. And it's just so heartbreaking to think about this happening to girl A. She would feel so isolated and alone. And you've also got to remember that this is during lockdown as well, which was an incredibly isolating time for a lot of people, which would have only compounded how isolated and alone she would have felt. And Lewis's demands of girl A just kept getting more and more extreme. He started asking girl A for videos as well as photos, and he would ask for videos of girl A, quote, doing stuff. And whilst we don't have the details of what he means by doing stuff, I think we could all imagine what he was asking. So girl A would send videos of herself doing whatever Lewis requested of her, because not only is Lewis manipulating girl A, but he is also threatening her family. He actually said harm will come to her family if she doesn't do what he asks. And then finally, Lewis actually asks to meet girl A in person. Now girl A was so terrified at this point. She was terrified of this teenage boy Jacob, because yes, that is another crazy thing, is that girl A still thinks that she's talking to a 13-year-old teenage boy called Jacob. So she was terrified of Jacob. She had no idea what he was capable of. She was terrified about what he might do to her in person, but then she was terrified about what might happen to her family if she didn't meet up with him. She started crying herself to sleep every single night. She felt like her world was falling apart, until she finally broke down and started crying in front of her best friend, and she told her best friend everything. And this was such a weight off her shoulders, and this is what gave her the confidence to completely cut off contact with Jacob. And thankfully, that is the end of the ordeal to girl A. There would be no more contact between girl A and Jacob, i.e. Lewis. Lewis now no longer had complete control over her. However, that was just the start of things, and it does get so much worse from here. Because after losing contact with girl A, what does Lewis do? He just goes out and finds himself another victim. He does not waste any time whatsoever. And this next victim we will only refer to as girl B. She was just 13 years old. This time Lewis was going by the fake name of James.
Right,
and
look.
Lewis used this.
There's that picture again. He looks so young. Like, what the hell? Or is this a fake photo he's using? I don't know. Like, what?
With girl A as he did with girl B. He started off with small talk, asking about her day, asking about her interests, her school, and blah blah blah. And when he found out what school girl B went to, this is when James, aka
This
Lewis,
is, remember,
said that he
police
actually went to the
officer
same
training.
school as girl B. He was just in a different year, but they went to the same school. And Lewis had clearly found out some of the names of the children from this school. And he started listing off reels of names of other kids that went to this school to prove that he went to the same school. He was using this information to manipulate girl B, and she trusted him. She believed that this James did go to the same school. I mean, He must do. Lewis, as James, sent Girl B a fake photo of himself that he had just found on the internet of a teenage boy that looked approximately 14 years old, who had blonde hair, blue eyes. And once Lewis had sent this fake image of himself to Girl B, he immediately asked for an image of her in her bra. And as soon as Girl B sent over a photo of herself in her bra, Lewis would then use this photo to blackmail Girl B, because he now kept telling Girl B that if she didn't do exactly what he wanted, he would send this image to everyone in their school. He would embarrass her in front of the whole school. And this was the last thing that Girl B wanted. So she started to comply with every single one of Lewis's demands. And of course, he was demanding more photos. So Girl B kept sending over more photos of herself. These photos became more and more extreme as time went by, until he was demanding that she send photos fully nude of herself over to him. But then this next thing that he does to Girl B is so disgusting, because not only was he demanding indecent images of her, he also started to send over videos to Girl B of other children having sex with one another, being forced to have sex with one another. And he forced Girl B to watch this indecent material of other children being abused, because he told Girl B that he wanted her to learn about sex. And then after forcing Girl B to watch this content, he then forced her into recreating these videos and to then send these videos over to him. Lewis then started making many more sick and disgusting requests of Girl B, because in the videos where she was recreating the content, the indecent content of children, in one video that he made Girl B record of herself, he made her refer to Lewis as her stepbrother. On another occasion, Lewis blackmailed Girl B into sending him 50 videos of herself.
So he's got some weird kinks. But anyway, long story short, he gets caught. So we're done with that. Hold on. Palette cleanser.
November is a notoriously deadly month on the Great Lakes. Commonly known as the November Gale or the Witch of November, the violent storms that occur in the fall can appear quickly and last for days. The waters of the lakes typically remain warm late into the year as the weather in the area grows cold. This creates low atmospheric pressure that pulls in cold Arctic air from the north and warm Gulf air from the south, creating unstable weather systems that easily generate hurricane-force winds and massive waves. These November storms have claimed hundreds of vessels on the 5 lakes. Most notably, the Carl D. Bradley lost on Lake Michigan on November 18, 1958, and of course the Edmund Fitzgerald, lost on Lake Superior on November 10, 1975. Only 2 men survived the sinking of the Bradley. No one survived the sinking of the Fitzgerald. November's deadly reputation was established long before these 2 great vessels met their end. In 1913, a devastating blizzard with hurricane-force winds descended on the Great Lakes basin, lasting from November 7th to November 10th. The storm was the deadliest and most destructive natural disaster to hit the Great Lakes in recorded history. Known as the White Hurricane, the Great Lakes storm of 1913 brought nearly 2 feet of snow to the area, with sustained winds of 79 miles per hour and gusts of up to 90 miles per hour. waves on the lakes reached an estimated 35 feet, with snow squalls creating whiteout conditions. There was little warning of the coming storm until late afternoon on Friday, November 7th, when Coast Guard stations and Weather Bureau offices on Lake Superior raised red and white lanterns, the rarely used warning for a hurricane. The next 3 days would forever change the Great Lakes. And when the storm cleared, the hull of an overturned freighter was found ominously floating on the surface of Lake Huron. With so many freighters lost in the storm, it would take weeks to identify the mystery ship. But the identity of this overturned hull was only a small part of a larger mystery that continues to baffle people in the area to this very day. But before we dive into things, let's take a quick moment to talk about this video's sponsor, MyHeritage. Clearly, I'm a bit of a history buff, and that love of history extends to my own family background. My grandma knew that I loved ocean liners, and she gave me something my great-grandfather saved from World War I. It's a postcard from the Aquitania, the ship that brought him home after the war. My grandma told me that he saved the postcard because he was so impressed by the size and beauty of the ship, and he wanted to hold onto that memory. Family stories like this are why I'm excited to be working with MyHeritage. Trusted by over 90 million users, MyHeritage is the leading global service for family history research. With access to over 18 billion historical records.
All right, get your book.
The Great Lakes are a geological wonder and an absolutely essential factor in the economic growth of North America. With a total surface area of 94,250 square miles, the Great Lakes contain 21% of the world's surface fresh water. Carved out over 14,000 years ago by retreating ice sheets during the last ice age, the Great Lakes Basin spans the Mideast region of the United States and Canada. The 5 lakes are massive enough to exhibit sea-like characteristics, and they've played a vital role in trade and transportation since the earliest days of Native American habitation. The resource-rich region was critical to the industrialization of the United States and Canada. Soon, large bulk freighters unique to these waters dominated the lakes. Their cargoes consisted of materials like iron ore, grain, potash, stone, and coal. And by the first decade of the 20th century, the Great Lakes represented more than 1/3 of the cargo capacity of the entire United States merchant fleet. With the lakes freezing during the winter months, shipping companies and their captains were frequently under immense pressure to efficiently transport the maximum possible cargo as late into the season as they possibly could. The risks these mariners were forced to take in order to achieve these goals made shipwrecks a way of life for the people of the Great Lakes. Exact numbers are impossible to calculate, but estimates range from 6,000 to 25,000 ships and at least 30,000 lives have been lost on these waters. Many of these losses can be attributed to the uniquely dangerous storm systems that wreak havoc on the lakes in the autumn months. The 1913 season was a mild one, and by November of that year, the weather on the Great Lakes was unusually calm and warm, with temperatures reaching into the low 70s in some areas. But experienced sailors knew that it was only a matter of time before they were hit by a November gale. They just hoped that these storms would hit after their final runs of the season. Weather forecasting at the time was in its infancy, and there were few tools available to predict or track storms, let alone issue effective warnings. The first signs of what was to come were noticed on the western end of Lake Superior, the largest and deepest of the Great Lakes, on Thursday, November 6, 1913. By the next day, the string of low-pressure centers collided into a large storm system southwest of Lake Superior that moved east toward Lake Michigan and Lake Huron. Then, on November 9th, another storm system from the south moved into the region, sweeping moist Atlantic air over colder air masses, producing heavy snow and ice. Combined with extremely large waves generated by the hurricane-force winds, the worst of the storm slowly moved down Lake Huron on November 9th, the deadliest day in the history of the Great Lakes. In 1913, the 504-foot Charles S. Price was one of the newest and most advanced freighters on the Great Lakes. Equipped with electric lights, hot water showers, and flush toilets, The price was part of a new generation of steel-hulled vessels that were rapidly replacing the wooden vessels that once dominated the area. In the first decade of the 20th century, roughly half of the vessels built by U.S. shipyards were launched on the Great Lakes. This building boom meant that the lucrative shipping trade in the area was operated by increasingly newer ships and a growing sense of confidence that these modern steel freighters could stand up to even the harshest weather conditions. The Charles S. Price was one of the largest freighters on the lakes when she was launched in 1910.
Yummy.
Built by the American Shipbuilding Company in Lorain, Ohio, the Price came in at 6,322 tons and was operated by a crew of 28. On the morning of Saturday, November 8th, the Charles S. Price, captained by William Black of Cleveland, left Ashtabula, Ohio, with a load of coal. At first, the Price's crew enjoyed unseasonably warm weather as they sailed west on Lake Erie toward the Detroit River Light, 150 miles away. Only a few days before, Milton Smith, the Price's first assistant engineer, decided to leave the ship before its last run. Smith enjoyed his time on the ship and formed friendships with his fellow crew, including wheelsman R.S. McIntosh. But over the last couple of runs, Smith became convinced that something bad was going to happen to the Price. Captain Black tried to convince him to stay on for the final run, but Smith had his mind made up and bid goodbye to the ship and its crew on Wednesday, November 5th. It's hard to know if the rest of the ship's crew felt a similar sense of foreboding. Either way, Steward Herbert Jones even brought his wife along on this particular voyage, and she helped prepare meals in the ship's galley. The Regina was a modest Canadian package freighter built for the Merchant Mutual Line and launched on September 4th, 1907. She came in at 1,956 tons and measured 249 feet 3 inches in length and had a beam of 42 feet 6 inches. Built in Scotland by A. Macmillan and Sons, she was powered by a single triple expansion engine and was designed to carry general cargo. By November 1913, she was captained by Edward McConkie. At 34 years old, McConkie was by this time a well-experienced mariner on the Great Lakes. The Regina and her crew of 20 was his first command, and he was eager to finish the final run of the season so he could get back home to his wife Amanda and their young daughters, 2-year-old Eileen and 7-year-old Amy. On the morning of Saturday, November 8th, while the storm raged over Lake Superior and the Regina continued loading her cargo in Sarnia, Ontario at the foot of Lake Huron, Captain McConkie was unaware of the magnitude of the coming storm.
Did we watch this the other day? I thought this was a different one. Didn't show it that it had been watched, but maybe it, I don't know, maybe it glitched. We watched The Regina. I don't know. I don't think that's how it's pronounced. Maybe I'm wrong. No, you're good. Are you still here, peasant? Peasant. Peasant. Peasant Morris. Get out of my house. Ugh. Cheers. Right. Why are you gross? Why are you so nasty?
In August 1976, four men who were students at the College of Art and Design in Boston, Massachusetts, decided to take off time from their studies to go on a 2-week camping excursion. The men were twin brothers Jack and Jim Weiner, Chuck Bragg, and Charlie Foltz. One night, they all got together at Jim's place to plan out their trip.
Where's Bandana? I don't know who this is. This is a new channel and I'm not familiar with this channel. It's Swiggle Studios. It's new to me, but what popped up is the scariest camping trip in Maine history. But I'm in Maine, so I'm like, oh, okay, let's check that out. It's 15 minutes. Palate cleanser. Let me just kind of gently phase us out before I clock out for the evening. Right after I shift from vagina, we go right into twin wieners.
In August 1976, four men who were students at the College of Art and Design in Boston, Massachusetts, decided to take off time from their studies to go on a 2-week camping excursion. The men were twin brothers Jack and Jim Weiner, Chuck Bragg, and Charlie Foltz. One night, they all got together at Jim.
It almost looks like Jack and Jill. Jack and Jim Weiner.
Place to plan out their trip. They looked at many different locations, but they eventually settled on the Alagash waterway, an extremely remote location in northern Maine. The men were truly going off the grid for this trip, and they had much on the itinerary, from fishing and canoeing to even mountain
The Wieners.
After
The
finishing
Wiener
up their
brothers.
studies on Friday, August 20th, the men loaded up their hatchback and hit Route 95 north, heading towards Maine. They traveled all night into the early hours of the morning. Finally, around 8 a.m., they made it to their first stop, Maine's highest mountain, Mount Katahdin, in Baxter State Park. They unloaded the car, set up camp, and got some rest. The men had finally made it to their much-anticipated boys' trip. And at first, things were going quite well. They were telling stories, drinking a few beers, and were generally having a good time. However, the good vibes would not last, as this camping trip wouldn't quite go as planned. Something strange would happen to the men during this trip. Something strange that would haunt them for the rest of their lives.
Very bright light in the sky that had a reddish cast to it. It was so bright, we didn't know what to make of it. This is exactly what it sounded like. It was like... This was it. They were going to get us.
When the next
I know
morning
it's
came,
serious,
Sunday,
but
August
I'm having a hard
22nd,
time
the men got
taking
up
it
early to climb
seriously.
Mount Katahdin. They hiked over 11 miles while navigating some pretty dicey sections, including the heart-pounding Knife's Edge. But they summited and made it back down with no issues. The next day,
Is there a
Monday,
visual
August
to that? Oh my god,
So
please
bright,
tell me.
we didn't know what to make of it. This is exactly what it sounded like. It was like...
I had my chat up, so I wasn't watching the video, I was listening. I'm like, please tell me there's a visual to whoever was making that noise. There is. It was on like a talk show. Let's watch it together. Gosh.
This was it. They were going to get us.
Something strange would happen to the men during this trip. Something strange that would haunt them for the rest of their lives.
Very bright light in the sky that had a reddish cast to it. It was so bright, we didn't know what to make of it. This is exactly what it sounded like. It was like... This was it. They were going to get us.
When the next morning came, Sunday, August 22nd, the men got up early to climb Mount Katahdin. They hiked over 11 miles while navigating some pretty dicey sections, including the heart-pounding Knife's Edge. But they summited and made it back down with no issues. The next day, Monday, August 23rd, they participated in some flying with a local guide. And then finally, on Tuesday, they arrived at the Alagash waterway. This was the main part of the trip. This was where they were going to begin their 10-day backpacking adventure. On the first day, they canoed up to Chamberlain Lake and set up their first camp at the Mudbrook campsite on Mud Beach. They ate their nightly meal as the stars came out in the sky above. All was good, but something strange occurred while they were all chatting around the fire. One of the men, Jim, saw what appeared to be a strange plasmoid-like bright ball off in the distance just over the horizon.
Good vibes, guys.
And what is that? You see that light over there on the ridge? At first, it looked like a very bright star, maybe 2 or 3 times brighter than all the stars around it. But then he took out his binoculars to get a closer look. It was then that he realized that this was no star. It was much closer. It was just up on the ridge of the hill, maybe 200 feet off the ground. Oh, dude, no. Dude!
Meters and
It's literally just right
whispers.
over the treetops. Right up there on the ridge, you see it? Oh my word, bro. This plasmoid-like object hovered briefly before quickly vanishing. Whoop! Did you see that? It's gone. This is how Chuck Rack described the incident in his own words.
We're all camped on a beach on Chamberlain Lake, and we saw a very bright light in the sky that had a reddish cast to it to the east, and we thought it might have been Mars. It was so bright, we didn't know what to make of it. But then it just did something strange. It collapsed on itself. It became inverted and closed in like an eyelid coming over an eye, and then it disappeared.
They actually weren't the only ones to see it. Another nearby camp group also noticed the star. It was a bit of an odd encounter for sure, but the light could have easily been explained by some strange natural phenomenon. The men then went to bed without any issues. The next day, Wednesday, the men continued to enjoy their time in the wilderness, and nothing unusual happened. The incident was practically forgotten, and they packed up their campsite to move to the next location. The men canoed through Lake Chamberlain up into the neighboring Eagle Lake, where they then set up camp at the Smith Road campsite. And so far, their trip was going exactly as they planned. They were having like a Milwaukee beer commercial level trip. They were having a good time. It was a boys' trip. But that was all about to change. The next day, on Thursday, August 26th, the day started off great. It was an absolutely beautiful day, and the men were all alone. There were no other campers nearby. The Smithbrook campsite was an extremely remote part of the already remote Alagash wilderness. No one was around. That afternoon, the men made a plan to go night fishing. They were going to go out on the boat, row out into the middle of the lake, and pull an all-nighter casting their lines. So that's exactly what they did. They built a large, huge bonfire on the edge of the shore to mark their camp's location. This was very important. You see, this far up north, up in Maine, the nights are extremely dark. There are hardly any towns nearby. No light pollution whatsoever. So it was imperative that they would start a fire to mark where their campsite was, so they wouldn't get lost. The men then rowed their boat out into the middle of the lake to cast their line. After about an hour or so, something strange began to happen. Remember that strange orb seen by Jim the night before? Well, it was back. But before we get to that, someone in the comments the other day mentioned that I looked very tired. Well, that's true. I actually am quite tired. Let's quickly talk about something a little more personal. I think I may be the busiest, most stressed out that I've ever been. I'm obviously doing content creation, but I actually have another job. And I should probably mention that I also have 3 kids under the age of 3. Twins and a 5-month-old. So I've got a lot going on, and I'm doing it all with not much sleep. Now, don't get me wrong, this is a really happy time in my life. I'm super grateful for all of it, but at the same time, it can still feel quite overwhelming and stressful. And that's for today's video sponsor. Bolts. He seemed to sense that there was something behind him, so he turned around to see that same orb hovering over the ridgeline. Hey, check it out. Is that the same light from the night before? That's totally the same light. This time, though,
I don't know.
it seemed to be slowly moving closer towards the men.
Oh, okay. I do have a test for you.
Close your eyes. About the decks. 2 tests. Do you see a mental image of one of the decks that you're asking me about? And if so, which one first? Secondarily, if you have them out in front of you, you can also close your eyes to do this, but put your hand, just hover your hand over each one. Do you feel a pull to any one of them? Like almost like a buzzing or a tingle in the energy. Okay. And so I don't know which one of those tests helped or if both of them did. If both of them did, I would say that, and the reason I asked, because I got a vision, and also, I mean, I have all of the clairs, but clear cognizance, clear knowing, and feeling, kind of had a feeling about this too. So like the holding your hand over the decks, that's feeling, that's like sensing out feeling. Buzzing in your, okay, so you're a feeler. One of your gifts is clairsentience, which is clear feeling. I gave you the second option because not everybody's a seer. So like if you didn't get a mental image or anything like that, I got a vision of the hand thing, because that's also another tell, can be. But yeah, you may know that already, but listen to that, honor that. That's one of your tools. I use it for other things too. Sometimes there are questions. Sometimes it's like, oh, which one of these things do I need? Intuitively speaking, between like visions or whatever other things I can tell. Including the buzz and figures.
Up a few hundred feet away, about 200 feet above the water. The orb had a white yellowish hue to it, and it was completely silent. Chuck at first believed it to be an extreme example of swamp gas. Just stay calm, I'm sure it's probably just swamp gas. I'm sure there's swamp gas, right? But Chuck's hypothesis didn't seem likely. This floating light was different. It was way too big and way too bright. All 4 men continued to watch this strange floating plasmoid completely transfixed. They had never seen anything like it. Jim later described it like this. It had this rolling effect to it, like a miniature sun, very, very bright. It lit the treetops up like daylight, and it was absolutely silent. The orb was estimated to be nearly 80 feet in diameter. After a while, Chuck Rack thought it would be a good idea to try to signal the orb. He grabbed a flashlight and flickered SOS. Suddenly, a spotlight beam descended from the bottom of the bright orb, right onto the water's surface. Was it a beam? It then began to move. The orb started heading towards the 4 men on their boat. This caused some major pandemonium. Was it coming towards us? The men were obviously freaked out and began frantically rowing towards the shore, back towards the fire, but the orb got closer and closer. swamp gas doesn't have beans. They kept frantically rowing towards the camp and the fire, hoping that somehow this fire would protect them from this orb. The plasma ball was now extremely close to them. They could even feel heat radiating off the object. And then suddenly, they were back at their camp on the shore. Everyone was a bit confused. They were unsure on how exactly they got there. They turned around to see the bright floating orb, but it wasn't right next to them anymore. It was now far away, back out over the lake. It hovered there for a while and then floated back over the hills onto the horizon. It then started to slowly head back up into the sky until it was just another light that fit in with all the other stars. Their fire, which seemed to be going strong only a few moments before, was now just hot charcoals. It was almost like the past 3 hours were gone. The men were shaken up by the experience and managed to get little sleep that night. The next morning, as they were preparing breakfast, a park ranger was doing his usual rounds and stopped by the camp. The 4 men described their strange encounter with this floating plasmoid and its beam. The park ranger assured them that the light was actually a spotlight that they had just installed for the grand opening of a local hardware store, something similar to one of these searchlight beam things. However, the 4 men disagreed. They all stated that this was something completely different, something that was much brighter and much more menacing. The park ranger informed them that he had not heard of any other strange lights in the sky anywhere over the Alagash wilderness. The 4 men thought the encounter was weird, but they continued on with their camping trip. For the next 6 days, they spent time out on the lake fishing and hanging out. And even though they looked every night, they never again saw that strange orb. After their camping trip, they returned home to Boston. In Boston, they told the story to their friends and family members. They thought it was unusual for sure, but the men just eventually laughed it off and moved on with their lives. Within a few years, the story had almost been forgotten. So maybe it was just some rare nocturnal light. I mean, who cares, right? Why is this weird orb nocturnal light story unique? Well, this story isn't over. The more terrifying aspect of this tale wouldn't occur until 12 years later, in 1988. In the late 80s, one of the 4 men, Jim, began to have reoccurring nightmares.
Jim Weiner.
The nightmares featured an extremely bright room with a shadowy figure coming towards him. Time and time again, he would wake up frightened. The nightmares became more and more frightening and detailed over time, and it was getting to the point where Jim was afraid to fall asleep. Thankfully, his wife Mary was always there to comfort him when he woke up from these nightmares. While the nightmares varied in some degree, they always included specific elements, like the dark, shadowy figure. One day, Jim's wife was having lunch with her sister-in-law, Jack's wife. During the lunch, Jack's wife briefly mentioned that her husband, who remember was also on the camping trip, was having strange reoccurring nightmares. Jack's wife almost spit out her drink. She stated that her husband Jim was also having strange reoccurring nightmares and that they had been plaguing him for months. Now this actually isn't super unheard of. Remember, these 2 men were not only brothers, they were twin brothers, identical twin brothers. And there are many stories about identical twins sharing different memories or dreams or feelings. Once Jim found out that Jack was having the exact same nightmares, they got together to discuss what exactly was going on. Both of their nightmares seemed to feature strange creatures, and they were trying to figure out if they were reliving some sort of memory, but they never could figure it out. However, several months later, Jim was reading a book called Communion, written by Whitley Strieber. In this specific book, Strieber was going off on how he had been abducted by aliens and what that experience was like. It was at this point that Jim realized that his nightmares were very similar to the alien abduction experience that Strieber described in his book. But there was a problem. Jim didn't remember ever seeing aliens or being abducted, until he thought about it for a little bit longer. And then he remembered his strange UFO encounter in the Alagash wilderness 10 years prior. Now I know what you're thinking, okay, what? Well, this is all a bit crazy. There's no way that this orb thing that they all saw was a UFO with aliens aboard who abducted these 4 men. It does sound crazy, but there are a few aspects that add a little bit of credibility to their story. Okay, now we're going to get to those aspects, but before we do that, let's get back to Jim. The nightmares he was having were becoming more and more vivid, and he actually had to be admitted to the local hospital. He was becoming desperate, looking for answers, so he sought the expertise of a renowned UFO expert, Raymond Fowler. Jim was able to briefly talk to him at a conference he was speaking at. At first, Fowler was not too convinced. That is until Jim mentioned the lost time aspect. That was a common theme Fowler had heard from other stories. He was also interested in Jim's claim since there were 3 other men who were there. More witnesses add more credibility to any story. So after the conference, Fowler looked into Jim's background. He contacted his employer, his neighbors, his schoolmates, and all these people that knew Jim stated that he was a good guy. He was a man of integrity who wouldn't randomly make up a story. This was enough for Fowler to set up a meeting with the 4 men. They all got together and they described the encounter at Eagle Lake. They went into detail, the orb, the beam, and the loss of time. The story was interesting, but it still wasn't enough. Richard Fowler did not want to get fooled by these men. He had encountered many hoaxes throughout his...
Wait. What? Where was this camping trip? Had to have been a different Eagle Lake. There must be many, or at least multiple Eagle Lakes in Maine. Northern Maine. Yeah, it's a different place. Okay. Because this says they were boating in it. There's an Eagle Lake around here too, but you can't. I don't think you can like, swim in it or anything like that.
Of running.
What?
But then he thought of a way to verify whether or not this event was true, or if they actually witnessed something. You see, Jim came to him in 1988. The UFO encounter occurred 12 years earlier in 1976. It's quite a gap. He wanted to know if anyone else knew about this encounter other than the 4 men way back in 1976. Obviously, if you wanted to like create a hoax or make money, you're not gonna make up a story and then wait 12 years. You're gonna say, oh, last summer we saw a UFO, you know what I mean? So he wanted to see if they had told this story to other people way back in 1976. So he looked up where Jim worked in 1976 and contacted his boss. Surprisingly, his boss actually remembered Jim telling a story about a weird UFO that he saw out in the wilderness to all the other employees. Apparently, he told this story all the time. Fowler also wanted to contact someone who didn't know the twins at all, someone that knew one of the other men. So he talked to a friend of Chuck Rack. And that friend also verified that Chuck had talked about this strange UFO experience. But perhaps the best witness to all these stories back in the 1970s was the park ranger that they talked to the next day. This guy had no relation to the men at all, so he would be the perfect person to ask. Fowler initially had a hard time tracking him down because by the late 80s, he had a completely different job at working for the Maine Department of Forestry. But with some digging, he was able to get his current address and phone number. So he called him up and asked him if he had any recollection at all of a UFO UAP event in 1976. Right away, the ranger said yes, because it turns out they weren't the only people to see something strange that night. In fact, there were several other camp groups who filed reports of there being a strange light in the sky that evening. Now, if this is actually true, if he had actually contacted the park ranger, I couldn't find the park ranger's name, but if he actually contacted the real ranger and the ranger stated this, that does make the story a little bit more interesting. By this point, Fowler was convinced the men were telling the truth, and he suggested that they all undergo hypnosis to see if they can recall any lost memories. So there is a therapy technique known as regression hypnosis. This technique puts individuals into a relaxed, trance-like state, and in this state, they're able to recall or relive past events. Usually it focuses on childhood trauma, so they underwent regression therapy. They all did this separately to see if their stories would match up. Essentially, they all described being aboard an alien spaceship where these weird creature bug-like figures did weird experiments on them. A few of the men recall witnessing their friends being experimented on, and then some of the men remember seeing the alien face right there above them, and they could remember like details with their four fingers, and some of them remember being put back in the canoe, all these strange things, and apparently they all got right. Now, experts note that there is a high risk of regression hypnosis producing false memories. Just because they said something during the therapy session doesn't mean it actually happened. But there is evidence that suggests that it's possible. Now, rather conveniently, the four men, remember, were art students. They were good at drawing and painting, and they were able to paint what they saw during this hypnosis segment. The drawings are pretty creepy. Yeah, that's kind of creepy. Richard Fowler actually released a book on this abduction. This is where I pretty much got all my information. Their experience started to get wider national attention, and they actually all went on the Joan Rivers talk show to talk about it. So what's actually going on here? What actually happened in the Alagash wilderness back in 1976? Well, I actually think I know exactly what happened. I don't think Jim actually got abducted by aliens, but I do think he's telling the truth. Here's an aspect of the story that a lot of people leave out. In the mid-1980s, Jim actually had a head injury. He was in the hospital due to this head injury. And then after the head injury, that's when he started having these strange nightmares. What's also interesting is the way he described his nightmares sound very similar to sleep paralysis. Essentially, you're like half awake and you're seeing weird figures, weird shadowy figures, and you're unable to move. What's interesting is back in the 1980s, people didn't really talk about sleep paralysis. Sleep paralysis didn't really enter the mainstream media until 2010. But it's definitely a real thing. I have encountered it myself. I didn't see any figures, but I heard like a loud noise and I couldn't move for like 40 seconds. It was terrifying. A lot of people have some really creepy sleep paralysis stories. Let me know if you have some in the comments below. But that's exactly what I think happened to Jim. Now, the connection to Jack is, I don't know if there's any truth behind the whole, identical twins being able to like share thoughts. I haven't really looked into that, but I have heard a lot about it. So maybe it's possible that after Jim had this head injury, Jack also had some weird side effects. Another major issue with this entire story is that in 2016, Chuck Rack, one of the abductees, he stated that the entire alien abduction story was made up. He stated that they got together in the 80s and they said, hey, let's make some money. But what I found really intriguing is when the interviewer asked him about the UFO UAP event back in the 70s, he stated that that actually occurred, which kind of adds credibility to that part of the story. Like if you're going to say, oh, we made up the abduction thing in the 80s, obviously, if you made up the UFO story, you're probably going to say, oh, we made that up too. But the fact that he said, no, that actually occurred, I don't know. It's kind of interesting. When it comes to the actual incident, the light that they saw in the sky, I think they just saw some weird natural phenomenon. a nocturnal light of sorts. There's many stories about weird nocturnal lights, sometimes referred to as ghost lights. One classic example is the Brown Mountain lights. It's highly possible that they saw some weird swamp gas thing, or maybe even Steve. So according to Ray Fowler, the night before they had this abduction experience, they actually watched the Northern Lights. Perhaps there was another display of the Northern Lights on the night that they were abducted, and they saw Steve, which is like a weird emission beam of energy that can occur during the Northern Lights. Of course, the most popular theory among skeptics is that they made up the entire story, from the UAP all the way to the abductions. But yeah, the whole art student thing, I mean, these people are obviously creative people, and creative people are often good at coming up with stories. And then there's the third theory, that they really did get abducted by aliens. There's a lot we don't know out there. I don't know, I'm kind of somewhere in between. I think they really did see something.
Interesting. Let me give you one more bull pack. I have some more things to share, but I'm going to put a pin in them for the moment. And I'll be back. Not tonight. Sweet dreams. Grand rising. Happy in between for those on the interim. Blessings. And namaste. That was weak. Do no harm. I take no shit. And as always, remember to pray. I hear this. I'll give you one more.
By the end of the summer, she was a lover. I saw her ex and he's dressing like me. Hair kinda messy like me. Nobody gets it like me. We made it to winter, naked at dinner. Standing on seats cause they're playing our song. The wait is always taking too long. Maybe we're just staying too long. Oh, I've been always back home. I'm mad. I found an angel wearing plaid. You'll meet her soon.
Sweet dreams, my darling.